The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
So good evening, everybody, and welcome to the latest edition of the Foundations of Elite Health series webinars. I'm so pleased that you're able to join me this evening, and I'm really looking forward to sharing some great information with you. So if you don't know me, my name is Jill Barham, and I am a Pilates teacher and a functional nutritionist, and I've been interested in functional medicine for about 6 years, actually working with functional medicine for about 6 years, but interested in the whole health and well-being industry for many more years before that, since I trained as a nurse right back in the 1980s. So we're going to wait for a few people to join us here. We're going to welcome some people. Oh, hi Deirdre, nice to see you. Deirdre, hello John, nice to see you too. Jenny Hock, Jackie Baker, Jeremy Townsend, Nicola Dryber, hi Nicola. Rachel, Samantha, Simon's here as well. Thanks for joining us, Simon. So our subject this evening is...
Liz is here.
Oh, who's here?
Liz is here.
Oh, Liz is here. Hooray, Liz is here. That's great. It's finally got on. Brilliant. And also, who else have we got? Jeremy Townsend. Welcome to this evening's presentation. I hope you've managed to catch some of the other presentations that we've had, because they've all been absolutely brilliant, I have to say. So we're going to be talking about something which is passionate to my heart, really, which is how you can achieve elite health whilst you're living a busy life. So that's kind of the essence of our week's worth of seminars, and the essence really of this evening is focusing on one of the pillars of health, the 5 pillars of health that were covered in the first week of the webinar. So as we get going, let's have a look and see who else have we got. Oh, we've got Lisa on as well. So we're going to get going with the actual core content at about 6:10. But before then, we've got some very special people on the call who have agreed to come on and just give you a little bit of information about their experience with changing some of their lifestyle habits and introducing Synergy products into their daily routine. So first of all, I'd like to welcome Liz onto the call. Liz, are you there?
Hi, yes I am.
Hello, darling. How are you?
Hi, yeah, I'm fine, thanks. How are you?
Brilliant. Yeah, I'm really good. So Liz actually lives very, very close to me. We're in the wonderful county of Northamptonshire, and it's been a glorious day here. So we're not very far from each other. We've known each other for a few years because we both, at the time, both owned narrowboats, didn't we?
We did, yes.
And that was how we kind of first had a conversation. And it's really interesting how businesses work and how associations work, and how my Synergy business has grown is that basically what I've done through all of these years is to meet people, have a chat to them, and then somehow the subject always come around to health and well-being, because that seems to be what everybody's interested in. And in fact, that was similar to the conversation that I had with Liz a few years ago. And then Liz, eventually you started to kind of use some of the original products I was using, but then I was introduced to the Synergy opportunity to be able to get a specific product that you were really interested in, because you can perhaps tell us a bit about the fact that you've had a high blood pressure for quite a few years.
Yes, I've had hypertension for nearly 17 years now. And prior to you introducing me to Pro-Arginine Plus, I'd been on hypertension medication for about 15 years. To start with, I was on one called Bendrofluoride, which is basically it takes the excess liquid out of your blood. It's a diuretic. And then when that stopped working effectively, they also put me onto one called Lisinopril, which relaxes the walls of your blood vessels. So I've been on these two, and I sort of thought, oh, well, okay, I'll be on these for a bit and that'll be it. And the doctor said, no, I'm afraid that this is for life. And I was thinking, flipping heck, I really don't want to be on these for life. I was then introduced by the lovely Jill to Pro-Arginine Plus, and she put me on 2 sachets a day, which I duly did. And about 18 months ago now, I was able to completely come off my my blood pressure medication with the which was absolutely fantastic, with the knowledge of the nurse and the doctor. It's absolutely amazing. I've been off it since. And I was just
how long did it? How long did it take? I can't remember. How long did it take for you to come off? Was it about 6 months or a year or something?
No, I can't remember either, because it was a bit on and off. I think it was roughly a year, but maybe 10 months, something like that. Because what happened is I ran out of, I had my blood pressure meds were on repeat prescription. I ran out, and I was checking my blood pressure at home regularly. And I thought, do you know what? I'm going to give it a go without. I'm on Pro-Arginine twice a day. Let's see how we go. And I monitored my blood pressure, and all was well. Yeah. So when I was due a medication review with the nurse, I told her exactly what I'd been doing, and I was expecting to be shouted down and saying, "Oh no, you need to go back on." But in actual fact, although she didn't know a lot about Pro-Arginine, she had heard about it. So I told her to, more about it and to go and find it. And so although I still get reviews with them, I've been off it ever since, which is fantastic.
It's fantastic news, isn't it? And the great thing about it is that you're so excited about it, is that you share the good news. And
I do, yes. Yes, I do. I've got various friends and my brother, who's my brother's just been diagnosed with pre-hypertension, and he had a telephone appointment with his female doctor in London, and she had heard about it and was all for him trying it. So he's now on it, yeah. So all being well, that's going to prevent him from having to go on to blood pressure meds, and I've got other friends who are on it as well. Yeah,
so the lovely Joss, she didn't have blood pressure issues, but Joss was just feeling kind of, her and her husband were feeling just a little bit tired, as I remember, and a little bit lackluster. And they actually went on to the B3 system, which I know everybody who's looked at the other webinars will know about. And they actually did the microbiome reset program too. And so what we did was we set you then up as rather than a preferred customer, we changed your kind of account into a full account, so that now those 2 people that you've introduced, they're kind of your clients effectively. With the idea that, with just a few more, what we want to be able to do is to get to the situation where you don't have to pay for your Pro-Arginine anymore.
That would be great.
Yeah. So, it will just take a few more people to, to be using the products regularly. And then, you know that your health is taken care of. Your blood pressure certainly is taken care of from this point onwards, which is very exciting. And that's really what, a lot of people just come into the business for, is actually just to be able to pay for their own products, if you like. Yeah, which is a really good idea. Well, thank you so much for sharing, and long may it continue.
Yes, thank you. No, it's fantastic. I mean, I really, if I ever run out, I really miss it. My husband takes it on and off, but I think he's going to start taking it more regularly as well. Because it just makes you feel so good in so many different ways.
Yeah, cool. Thanks very much, Liz. Thank you for joining us. Stay on, and I'll see you real soon.
Yeah, you take care.
Thank you. So, brilliant story, and just one of many stories that I've experienced, both myself as a coach and a health professional, but also with a lot of the team members that I'm connected to as well. So before we move on to the subject for 6:10, just in a few minutes, I'd like to bring Lisa on. So my lovely friend Lisa, who lives in Leicester. Hi, Lisa.
Hi, Jill. How are you?
Fine, thank you. So Lisa, just so that everybody knows, tell everybody where you come from.
I live in Leicester. I'm originally from Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
And I love my life.
So Lisa, you've got a bit of a secret in that actually you've been in Synergy longer than me.
I have. That's true.
So how did you, will you share with us how you came across Synergy?
Well, it was accidental because we're looking for some product for my mom, some natural products. She doesn't really like medication. She had an accident and she was in pain, constant pain, swelling, and all that, bad circulation after the accident. So a friend just mentioned ProArch. So I thought, you know what, why don't I make my mom a guinea pig? Probably it could work on her. So my mom tried it. I wasn't taking it, but because I was looking for a product for mom, she tried it, and she was so excited. She's in Zimbabwe. She tells me that, oh my goodness, this is good. Can you give me more information? And when my mom says that she likes something, but I kind of like thought she was just trying to please me. When she thinks you've done so much to try and find something for her. Then my brother went to visit her and said, you know what, I think mom's swelling is really gone down. She's more active and she's really kind of like her old self. So then I thought, you know what, this thing really works. And I got to be started talking about ProArch to almost everything that breathed in front of me. Yeah. And then I started using it and I've had some amazing results myself.
Yes, because you had really cold hands and feet all the time, didn't you?
Oh yes, my goodness. When every time you handshake someone, they say, oh, cold hands, warm heart. And I'm like, no, I'm freezing. It's like that, because it was really uncomfortable. I had cold feet, I had cold hands. So the feet was like always freezing. In the summer, I would always have a pair of socks, even in the house, probably 2 pairs of socks. And when I started taking ProArch, I didn't know what it was going to do for me. I just was taking it and I started feeling kind of like good. And I thought, I'm imagining it. And then I realized at some point, like a few months down the line, that I was walking in summer without socks. I'd kicked off my slippers. I'd taken off my socks. And I thought, wow. And now I've got warm hands. No one is telling me I've got warm heart anymore. Because my hands are not cold anymore.
Yeah.
And my feet, I'm actually not wearing socks right now.
That's brilliant. And so this is probably 8 years now that you've been using the products. And
yes.
you added in the other V3 products as well, didn't you?
Yes, because actually the other V3, they're amazing. You don't realize how, because I stayed on the ProArch for a bit and then realized there's the Vitalife, which is amazing for your gut and all that stuff. The more I understood about what it does, the more I loved it. And then the Mystify, which if I'm coming up with a cold sometimes, I kind of like overdose on it because it's nice anyway, I like it. So I feel the difference and it kicks off I don't have colds, to be honest. So I just kind of like feel like I'm coming up with colds. And then I dose up and that's it. So I love the products. Brilliant.
Okay, well, thanks so much for joining us and for sharing. And I'm going to see you soon too, aren't I?
Yes, definitely. Thanks to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Cheers.
Okay, so we're going to get into the main part of the call. If you've just joined us, and we've got loads of people on the call, so thank you all very much. I know that some of you are sitting looking and other people, you've got it playing in the background and you're making your supper or whatever it is. Whatever works for you, that's perfectly fine. So this evening's call is really close to my heart because it touches on something which I think is very, very important in the 21st century, which is essentially managing to achieve elite health in this very mad, busy world that we live in. And one of the things that I'm really passionate about is the V3 system, obviously. But sometimes I find, because I'm really super busy as well, I'm a Pilates teacher, I coach with functional nutrition, I'm an author, I speak at events all around the country and abroad. I run my own TV show called The Vitality Hour, so I'm super busy. And although some of the sachets are really easy to take away and around with me, I've just come back from America, for example, and it wasn't quite so easy to take my Mystify and my Vitalife enough for 3 weeks away. So what's really exciting is that this whole week of webinars is covering how you can get all the nutrition that you need whilst in a very easily packaged manner, in a sort of concentrated form that's easy for you to just pick up and put in your pocket or in your briefcase, your laptop bag, your handbag, or whatever it is, knowing that you've got everything that you need in order to keep yourself healthy. So this particular section that we're going to talk about covers something that actually is already, if you like, being covered by other speakers. And so I'm not going to spend too long on the actual kind of details of what's in the product or what the product does specifically, because there are some other great speakers that have covered a lot of these subjects. But I really wanted to start with what I understand as what we're all doing here, what the sort of basis is of the whole focus on this webinar series, on the approach of us as functional medicine specialists, holistic medicine specialists, nutritionists, whatever you want to call us. And it's really, this statement sums it up. Stephen Horn is the past president of the American Herbalist Association, and he's somebody that I really respect and have worked with for several years. And his view, which is echoed by my view, is that in this day and age, you know, we really need to be concentrating on building health rather than treating disease. And Sue Thomas, who you know has presented a few webinars already, you know, she says that quite rightly that self-care is the new healthcare. And it's about taking responsibility for our own health and actually changing our lifestyles, creating new habits in order to achieve better health. And I want to compare this really to give you a bit of an insight into the way that I view it compared to how I was trained as a nurse. So allopathic medicine basically is the traditional medical approach, which is allo meaning against and pathic meaning disease. So anything that I was taught as a nurse when I trained as a nurse was really to do with somebody coming and they've got a symptom, you diagnose that symptom, and then you give something that will either supposedly cure, but will generally just mask that symptom. That's essentially what's going on. And so some of those things that are given to treat that symptomatic relief are things that, you know, you will be very familiar with, such as an antibiotic. So anything that is against disease is an anti. So we've got antibiotics, antacids against acid reflux or GERD, anti-inflammatories, and you'll know if you've watched any of the microbiome webinars that the root of most disease, including heart disease, is in the inflammatory process. Antidepressants, so something that counteracts depression, supposedly. Antihistamines, and so the list goes on, everything that is anti. But actually what's really going on here is that these drugs, this medication, apart from the fact that we know that they have side effects and they create very often the polypharmacy, and I know other speakers have covered this, where you get onto one drug and then you have to take another drug to counter the side effects and so on. What we do know about these is that they are not treating the underlying cause. All they are doing is merely damping this down. And my most powerful story, as an example to show you what I mean by this, is that my son was diagnosed with something called epiglossitis, which is an inflammatory disease of the little flap that's at the top of the windpipe. And he was given anti-inflammatory, so he was given steroids on a couple of occasions while they were trying to find out what was going on in hospital. And so that steroid, that anti-inflammatory, would take away the symptoms of his disease for the amount of time that the steroid was in his system. But as soon as the steroid left his system, his symptoms would come straight back. And therefore, what we needed to do was to get to the root of why he was having this really life-threatening disease, rather than just going at the symptom itself. And it turned out that actually what was going on here is that he had a very low immune system due to irritable bowel syndrome that he'd been diagnosed with at 11. And this was when my quest for looking at treating disease rather than, building good health rather than treating disease started, because I understood what I needed to do was to help him to manage his irritable bowel syndrome so that his immune system was strong. So what we were doing here, rather than just treating the symptoms of his IBS or treating the symptoms of this inflammatory problem, was actually going in and building his gut. This was way before we knew anything about the microbiome. We were really treating with probiotics and so on. And so it was really important that I understood how I could learn how to build good health. And that's indeed what I've done in the last 6 years, and what all the other speakers now know it's very important to do. So in other words, what we're doing is we're optimizing health, we are minimizing disease, and we're maximizing wellness, or in other words, we're building elite health. And as one of the other speakers has said, you know, we're all on a scale from poor health to good health. We're somewhere on that scale, but we all now know that even if you have a certain cancer gene, for example, that gene is only affecting your health to a maximum of 10%, which means that you have 90% opportunity to determine your current and future health by making some lifestyle changes. And so what I'm here to talk to you about briefly tonight is how you can do that whilst being really busy. Because in my view, there are many health issues, and most health issues are basically the result of two interconnected problems. One of those is metabolic dysfunction, and you will have had many sessions from particularly the week of the microbiome webinars, talking about dysbiosis and imbalance of the microbiome and so on. And the other one is chemical overload. And so, for example, Sue Sharp in the webinar on the 9th webinar, she was talking about detoxification. So how you can minimize the toxic load that we have from our water supply of heavy metals, of things like xenoestrogens, false estrogens, of chemicals that are in the air, in our water, in our drugs, in our food. You know, we are all basically a toxic kind of time bomb, really. So if we look at those two problems, what we do know is that there are a number of things that you can do about it. Obviously, we now know that we can sort our microbiome. We also now know that we can take the V3 system and things like magnesium to support the system so that the body gets back into good health. And once the body is in good health, the body will heal itself. And this is the wonderful principle that I truly believe is the way forward for us as a nation, particularly in the Western world, to understand, and which I love about Synergy is that that's the way that they view health. You know, we have a company here that produces and manufactures and clinically trials products that are so targeted to this idea that what we're doing is building the foundations of good health. So what I'm here to talk about is greens again. Now, we had a session on greens in actually the very second webinar. Was an amazing webinar given by Kim Bradley. And I'm not going to go over the properties of the phytolife that she talked about here. There's a really interesting slide that talks about the importance of having an alkaline body rather than an acidic body in some of the foods that put you into an alkaline state and an acidic state. What I really suggest you do is you go back to that webinar and revisit what Kim said, because she gave it a phenomenal amount of information, not only about why having an alkaline state is so important. So, for example, avoiding cancer, the body loves to be in an acidic state to develop cancer, so we need to alkalize ourselves. To have an alkaline system so that we can prevent disease, so that we can build really good, strong bones because of the way that it affects the minerals that affect healthy bone growth. And John Burgess talked about that last night in the webinar all about bone health. But it's also a really important way for any green foods and anything that you can add in, like this Phytolife that you were introduced to on that very second day, to make sure that you are indeed alkalizing your body as much as possible. And so what I suggest you do is, one of the things you do from today is you go back and you understand from that one webinar how alkalining your body is very, very important. You can also visit Sue's webinar and look at how detoxification works. So anything that's green basically helps you to detoxify. So all your detoxification organs, such as the liver and the kidneys and the skin, that needs the help of really powerful green products. And that's why we're told that we should be eating 10 fruits and vegetables a day. Now, realistically, the basis, the kind of bias should really be on the vegetables rather than on the fruits. And I think this sometimes gets a little bit confused. People think that they can just eat, 10 bananas a day and they've got it covered. But actually, realistically, it's the green plant food, the plant-based food in your diet that is going to make you the healthiest, because those are the foods with the essential macronutrients, phytonutrients, phytoestrogens, all of the really semi-essential amino acids, all of those things that you really need in order to create a good environment for your body to be healthy. So what I'm going to introduce you to, though, is instead of having to rely on getting access to really good green food every day, and for me, even living out here in the countryside in North Hampshire, that's not the easiest thing to do, or indeed relying on the wonderful Phytolife, which I drink all day, by the way, in my water. The wonderful Synergy has come up with something that you can take out and about, which is really good news for me. And I really wish I'd had this. I was in America for 3 weeks just last month, and actually found it really, really difficult, to find any healthy food that didn't have lots of sugar added to it. I didn't eat any desserts at all while I was in America, because all of my main courses were sugary anyway. But they simply really don't serve up the portions of green vegetables that I'm used to and that I know that I need. And so this is a great way for anybody to make sure that you get your shot of essential green foods. And you'll see here that this little 30-gram sachet that you can buy in a box of 30, so that will last you a month effectively. It's got all of the foods that Kim refers to in her webinar, all of the green foods such as broccoli, spinach, getting those foods into your diet, putting foods in like peppermint and spearmint that help with digestion. And what's unusual about this particular product is it includes 2 of the superfoods. So you may have heard of superfoods on the superfood list, and chlorella and spirulina are 2 superfoods. And ordinarily those 2 superfoods cannot be included in the same product because they kind of react against each other in some way. But the cleverness that goes on in Synergy at the manufacturing plant and the development and the scientific, all the science that they have out there, means that they've based these products that you're going to hear about this week on a gel. And apparently, I don't know, I don't understand the science of it, but having a gel rather than a water base means that you're able to put all sorts of products in that ordinarily wouldn't go together, that give so much power to these very sort of concentrated type foods. And what I've learned also about this gel that is used, drinking it in a gel, is that gel is kind of sticky, and it coats the lining of the intestines. We've got all these little sort of fingers called villi, and rather than it passing through like water through the villi and making the villi kind of rustle, the gel is stickier, so it sticks to every surface of the villi. And that means that the nutrients are staying in the small intestine particularly for longer, which means it has a much more opportunity for it to be digested into the body. So the great thing about this particular greens product, it's much more than the chlorophyll drink that Kim referred to, because this is a kind of complete food really. This is all you need on a daily basis. If you've got your little shot of greens, if you haven't managed in your very busy day to get any green food into your body, this is the wonderful thing that I love about Synergy products, is that very quickly and easily, and it's a very sort of sweet, nice, lemony, minty taste, it's sorted. I don't have to fret about it. I can give it safely in smaller doses to younger people, to children, and to even to sort of children under 8. It's it's a very, very safe thing to do. And just finally, I wanted just to highlight a couple of the benefits of it. So apart from supporting the digestive system through the things like peppermint and spearmint, very good for things like IBS, calming things down. And apart from the fact that we know that it is an alkalining, so it's very good, it's going to take you away from the acidic state into the alkaline state. And apart from the fact that it is a natural detoxifier because of the fact that it's so packed with greens, I heard a couple of fascinating stories that I'm just going to finish with tonight before we say goodbye. And one of those is that there was a lady, this has been in Europe for some time, and there was a German lady who attended an event who had problems with constipation for many, many years. She was introduced to the essential greens. She was told for the first night to take, before she went to bed, 2 sachets of the essential greens, and for the next 2 nights to take just 1 sachet. Ever since then, she has taken 1 sachet a night, and she no longer has any constipation problems at all, which is remarkable. And conversely, another lady at another event stood up and said that she suffered with diarrhea. So she was kind of at the other end of what we commonly call irritable bowel syndrome, and she took the essential greens in the morning rather than in the evening, and her diarrhea had actually completely gone away. So this is available, but only to you if you are a preferred customer. So you can't get it if you've got somebody that's a distributor within Synergy. You can't buy it off them. You actually have to register as a preferred customer in order to get it, and you can only get it by calling the company. It's not available on the website. You have to call into customer services with your own preferred customer number, and then you can order this fantastic product. If you want to find out more about it, about this product, or indeed about Synergy or anything else that we've talked about up until now, this is the 18th webinar of 27, then you can talk to the person that sent you the link for this. I briefly just want to tell you a couple of other things. One is that if you're interested in to know more about how Synergy works and how you can be like Liz at the start of the call, where she doesn't want to run a Synergy business, but what she wants to be able to do is to pay for her products. So all she's got a full account, and she's introducing a few people. If you're interested in that, or you're interested in the greater business opportunity, we've got a business accelerator training day on the 9th of June in Warwickshire, which you're very, very welcome to come and attend. I will certainly be there. And also the other thing to tell you is that we are all week we're doing this on the go, and tomorrow we've got the wonderful Helen Fetster, who she lives in Oxfordshire. She's very passionate about Synergy and helping people with our wonderful products, and she's going to be talking about the anti-aging product that is now in this gel form, so anti-aging on the go effectively. So please make sure that you log into Helen's wonderful webinar tomorrow evening. Thank you very much for your attendance. Thank you very much for joining. Make sure that you go back and revisit some of the webinars if you've already heard some, or go and see some of them for the first time. I guarantee you that this is real quality information, just like quality products, which is why I love Synergy so much. Have a great evening, and I will hope to see you real soon.